Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm on part 8 of a father's journey with a son who has a seizure disorder. It's been a couple weeks. I've been home from my job last week, got back this week, kind of busy, but I just want to jump right in. I hope everyone's doing well. So here we are. We ended up our last one right after our him being weaned of the diastat at Children's Hospital, and then we came up on his VNS surgery. And over the next several years, what transpired, building the amperage up in the VNS, and like I said before, the issues that he was having in school, learning issues, all that. Anyhow, so he's in his senior year of high school now, and we're heading in. We've decided, talked to the doctors, that we're going to have another brain surgery. They did some more EEG mapping, and they think they were able to find the area again. More areas. Who knows? So we're like, what do we have to lose this time? So we go into the hospital, and they take him into surgery. Same thing has happened in the first one. And they open them up, they put grids, they put depth electrodes in this time, they sew them up, and they bring him back to his room. So in the meantime, as they have weaned all the medicine off of him, and they're down to the Tegretol, and they wean that slightly a little bit slower as the last one, because that's his mainstay. We're approached by the nurses, and they want to ask us if a biomedical team, engineering team from the University of Pittsburgh can come in, and while the electrodes are hooked up on his brain, if they can do some tests and hook up these electrodes to a computer. So the first few days after the initial surgery, where they opened him up, put the grid on and everything, he was still doing okay. Nothing's really happened yet. And he just kind of like, okay, whatever, I'll go along with it. So they hook him up to this machine, and they want him to just think and move this ball towards a target on the screen by using his mind. And they said what they're going to do is use this for further research down the road in order to help maybe implants for prosthetic devices for people who have lost limbs and things like that. So we thought it was pretty cool. And we actually, we stayed in a room with him as this group came in, I think a few days after the initial surgery. And they hooked him up, and they said he was kind of like a preliminary trial in some experiments in the country, which was pretty neat. He was like a pioneer, so to speak. And they asked him as they were monitoring him. We were just kind of standing off to the side, and they're like, "Hey, move the target, move the ball, the cursor, so to speak, on a screen with your mind." And it looked like he was doing it. The ball was moving towards, they said, move it towards the right, then go to the left, then move it up and move it down. It was moving. Well, later he said that he didn't really do that. I don't know. It seemed like it was working pretty well. And, he was very interactive with it. So they were impressed with the results. They didn't push us or pressure us to do anything like this. And we actually thought maybe it's good for people down the road. Maybe it'll help, with them, with research, so to speak. So anyhow, they decided to, the last, I think it was 3 or 4 days in, finally the Tegretol was stopped. So about a day went by before anything. And I was standing in the room, and it was actually about 3 or 4 days in, and I asked, Maureen, my wife, I said, hey, I need to get home here and get a shower and things like that, get really cleaned up and just take a break, because we had both been there sleeping on couches just like the first one, just like this one, and the same thing with the third one. So she said, that's fine. And then, after I get back or whatever, maybe spend a day at home, then she can go home. Well, it was funny. I got home, and I think within an hour she calls me and says he's having seizures. And they weren't the grand mals to start with. They were starting to, his regular ones, as they not only cut the meds, but just kind of his regular ones anyhow. And I'm like, okay, fine. I got a shower and I drove right back out and I sent her home. Because even though she worked in a hospital and she had seen a lot of things for 30 plus years, when it's your child, like I've said plenty of times, it's completely different. You know, you have no control. You're sitting there watching your child go through this entire process, and it's just completely out of your control. So I got back, I got back to the hospital and I sent her home. And I guess the next night, or maybe that night, the first grand mal set in. And when he had grand mals in the first surgery, they were, I hate to say this, they were mild compared to this. Maybe his size, I have no clue. But I was changing the channel, and I remember this vividly. I was changing the channel on the TV for him to watch something. And the ER, or the epilepsy techs, came running in, and I turned around. I'm like, is everything okay? And I turned and I looked at him, Zach, and he just had this blank stare. And then he just exploded into this full grand mal seizure. I mean, thrashing in bed, just jerking, tremors, trembling, everything you could imagine. Became incontinent, foaming at the mouth. I mean, it was something that I never ever could have experienced, or that I couldn't have even pictured. I was so used to it from the first one, but this was just, it was ripping my heart apart to watch this. And I just walked away. They were holding him down, and I just went over on the chair that I'd been sleeping on, and I just started praying. And God really put on my heart 1 Peter, I believe it's chapter 4, and it talks about the experiencing pain in our bodies, experiencing pain in our hearts. And I can't remember it right off the bat, but it just really spoke to me, because no matter what we go through on this earth, nothing compares to what Christ went through on the cross for us. And, I really kept that in my heart, what he was trying to show me about, just accepting things, accepting pain in our lives. Again, like I said before, if we always get good things, then we never know what to expect when we get bad things. And, we should not expect bad things, but we should be prepared for them when they happen to us, because that's what makes us grow. Anyhow, I just want to leave it at that. I'm coming up on 8 minutes, so I hope you all have a wonderful day, and God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.